Hello, this is Corey, and with me is Dylan. And Dylan, you can say hi. It's okay.
Hi.
There you go. Uh, and we're decided to put something together, kind of as our own little game, and kind of a bit of a project in flexing our fandom of professional wrestling as well as our creativity. And I don't really have a name for it. The only thing I could think of to call it would be something generic like Battle of the Brands. We can go with that. You
Yeah,
okay with that?
super draft. I have no ideas.
Super Draft. That's pretty cool too. But that sounds like it could be like a Formula One race.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, anyway, I got the idea because I listened to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast with Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, formerly Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, and they've been doing this thing for the last few months where one bonus podcast a month they book a fantasy fed with their gimmick is that they have to be from a particular set of action figures, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not that down. I'm not that far down the wormhole yet. But anyway, so the idea is very simple. Dylan and I are going to be the head of our own wrestling brand. I will be Raw and he will be SmackDown. And over the episodes that we're going to be doing, we're going to be basically booking a show and having our pay-per-view results. And then we're going to leave it up to the listeners to decide who won the month, essentially. Think of like the ratings war that AEW and NXT fans have, but it's not as depressing because no one's breaking 1 million viewers.
Yeah, and also our t-shirts look better.
Our t-shirts, our non-existent t-shirts are going to look way better.
Yeah, we don't even have them and they still look better than the All Elite Wrestling t-shirts.
Do you think Newt still has those EWA t-shirts that he was selling a couple years ago?
I have mine. I was wearing mine the other day.
You bought one? I did.
Yeah.
I came back after it was done. I didn't think they were still available.
No, it was to pay for like the bandwidth or something. It was the t-shirts were designed to be able to pay for something. And so he only made like 10 shirts, I think, which was enough to, if they all sold, there was enough to cover like website fees and stuff like that. So I think only 10 people have those shirts.
That's actually kind of cool. I kind of wish they would do that for current day. Like, would you not pop for a Big E visits Gettysburg t-shirt?
I would love a new t-shirt because the problem I had with the EWA shirts is that they're really like not interesting. Like it's just a logo, and I'm like, we could have like a cool shirt and then have like EWA.com at the bottom of it or something, or like integrate it into a cool design. But it's just a logo, and I'm like, man, I could have made a better shirt than that, you know. I was really close to making Hash Pipe Report t-shirts. I'm like I'm in the middle of making them just to see if anybody would want any.
I'd buy one. I kind of want I can't remember who did it, but whoever made Craig's Sammy banner with his Sammy's open mouth and tongue as Sammy's nipples. That is a person we need to get on board at making our t-shirts.
Was that Noah?
I think it might have been Noah, but if so, Noah, we might be contacting you soon.
Yeah, keep that guy in mind.
But yeah, anyway, the idea is relatively simple. We're going to be drafting our own rosters. We're going to be, the stipulation of it is that they have to have been active on the WWE roster beginning of 2020. So we do have everyone that was on the roster before they had their big culling about a month ago. And the way it's going to work is that each brand has 4 titles. Each title needs to have at least 5 people accountable to it. So I will have the WB title, the US title, the tag titles, and the Raw women's title. Dylan will have the Universal title, the SmackDown women's title, the SmackDown tag belts, and the Intercontinental title. Mm-hmm. Additionally, we will be drafting a wild card. The wild card pick is someone who is currently not on the WWE roster at that time. And we're not going to reveal who that is until the next show when we go through our first month of storylines and pay-per-view results. At that point, that person will be considered a surprise run-in. Now, are they the surprise run-in on one particular show? Are they left for the pay-per-view? Up to whichever one we feel like it at the time. But yeah, works pretty simple as this. Men's pick are 1 each, women's 1 each, and 1 tag team 1 pick. Mm-hmm. So before we get too far into the weeds of going back and forth with our picks, Dylan, did you have any questions about this, or would you want to, I guess, tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are for SmackDown?
I'm excited. I like Smackdown. I like the color blue, so that's good. And my plans really for my roster is, for years I have talked about what I don't like about the WWE. And I do it on my own podcast. You should check it out. Wrestling Doesn't Make Sense. It's on YouTube. There's a little plug. But like I'm always talking about how like they can improve stuff and make it better. So now I finally have a chance to put my money where my mouth is and try to see if I can book the show better than they can. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, that's kind of my idea with Raw, because I think anytime we talk about doing like fantasy booking, the internet wrestling fan community in particular gets really, it's like they want to book the WWE without booking the WWE, because they always mention like bringing in someone like a Kenny Omega or Okada or someone from somewhere else and putting them in the WWE and making, everyone go crazy about it. I think in reality, if you were to take Kenny Omega, even at his peak with New Japan before the AEW announcement, and you put him out in front of a WrestleMania audience, I don't think they'd really know who he was except for the people who were already fans of his. Yeah. I think there's a loss in the debuting new talent. Like, I don't think people really know how to do that anymore, because even in NXT, they just throw someone out there with the assumption that because the NXT fan base is the more hardcore wrestling fans, they're going to automatically know who a Matt Riddle is. They're going to know who Timothy Thatcher is. They're going to know who, Adam Cole and Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. So you don't get that slow, you don't see vignettes as much anymore. You don't see people brought in gradually. So my idea for my draft is to try to take a more traditional approach with the people I draft and try to see if I can make something that is interesting and entertaining, that isn't just more of the same that the WWE has been doing.
I dig it. I mean, some people have had vignettes. Velveteen Dream, I think, had vignettes, didn't he?
No, he had. Well, I mean, so that's the problem, right? Velveteen Dream may have had vignettes, but he had been as a jobber with that character before they pushed him seriously. Because I remember him, I remember seeing him at like a live show, and he got squashed real quick by, I think, Aleister Black or something like that. I mean, regardless, I don't think they really, I don't think they treated it the same way.
Okay.
I think the closest thing I remember is, the closest thing I remember is, remember they were trying to bring in like those 5 or 6 people from NXT at the same time, because they had like a draft, and they said, oh, we're also going to put these 5 people in as, a supplemental, and it was like Heavy Machinery and Johnny Gargano and Ciampa and Lars Sullivan and stuff. Oh, Lacey Evans was in there too.
Oh my God, Lars Sullivan! I totally forgot about him.
He's not on the top of your draft pick?
Well, he is now.
Hell yeah. He's going to get that monster push.
Off a cliff.
Maybe. But yeah, so another thing I wanted to kind of go out and say this is that Dylan and I talked about this before we started recording, but I've already am approaching this with an idea of the kind of show layout, and part of that is in my version of Raw. I do have an authority figure character, and that is Eric Bischoff. I know that Dylan, you don't want to start with one of those, or even you don't even know if you want to approach that kind of angle so far, right?
I haven't figured that out yet. No, it really depends on your rules as to what I'm allowed. For example, am I allowed the ghost of the Big Boss Man to be my authority figure?
I mean, Vince did book a tag team match with himself and his son against Shawn Michaels and God. So, I mean, if you can justify it in the context, go ahead.
I mean,
does it have to be Big Boss Man? Can it be his WCW NWA gimmick of Big Bubba?
Well, Big Boss Man had like a nightstick, so if anybody got out of line, he could hit them. But then I guess he's a ghost, so like he couldn't really hit them. I need to think this through.
Well, I mean,
I need to give this a lot more thought. Yeah.
we'll get stuck in the the logics of whether or not a ghost can physically interact with other people, or if it's just by interacting with inanimate objects it can interact with people. So at this point, we'll be just talking in circles and miss the whole draft.
Mm-hmm. It's a good start.
So
It's a good start.
yeah, so we're gonna start with the men's roster first, right?
Yes.
Okay. I also decided that I wanted Dylan to draft first, because I feel like I'm throwing a lot of this on him over the last week of having this idea and having him to go with me on it. So by all means, what's your first pick?
So like the men are all mixed together, right? Like we're not making a
Yeah.
distinction between like heavyweights or mid card. We're just all like whoever you want, pick them all and just go. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to separate them from men, women, and then tag team. With your men, if you can, take a Heath Slater and book him as your world title contender, that is your prerogative.
Is that a spoiler for who your first pick is?
He might be on the list.
So your list is like Heath Slater and Zack Ryder.
And Lars Sullivan.
Lars Sullivan. I think he loses to these guys like half his height. Oh God, I want to do that now. Oh, can we do a second draft after this?
Do you want to do we would have like what, Heat and Velocity? Do you want to have a Heat and Velocity show where we book talent exclusively for Heat and Velocity?
I mean, I kind of do. Like, you can see the appeal now, can't you? You can see why they do it. Like, just because nobody watches that shit, so you can do whatever you want.
That's true.
I heard this story. Sorry for derailing the podcast for a second, but it's what I do. I heard this story that Stevie Richards used to talk about him on like a Sunday Night Heat on in like 2002, and him and Raven and loads of other guys, they were explicitly told that nobody watches the show, so they can pretty much do whatever they want. So they
certainly
just
acted like it.
Yeah, so they literally for like a year and a half or whatever were just doing whatever the fuck they wanted, and I can't remember what it was, but like they were doing some weird angle. And Stephanie McMahon walked into the middle of it, and she was like, "What the hell is going on?" And then they were like, "Uh-oh." I think they got busted after that. But like for a year and a half, they just got to do whatever the fuck they wanted.
Yeah, I remember.
Pretty fucking good.
I remember that because Raven had this big storyline where he was like approaching like the 7 deadly sins, and then on to juxtapose that, Stevie Richards was insane and declaring himself the general manager of Stevie Night Heat.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly. And all of that was just, they were just making it up. I'm like, man, that's okay. Let's do a draft, shall we?
Okay. So yeah, you got first pick.
My first pick in the draft. I'm gonna write this down as well with like a pen and paper because I'm fucking old school.
Same here.
Yeah, good way to do it. My first pick is Adam Cole, baby.
Adam Cole. That's a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it was not on my list.
Oh, sweet.
But yeah, my first pick, I'm going to go with the phenomenal AJ Styles.
Dang. I think here's the funny thing. AJ Styles is one of those guys that is going to be on both. We would both want him, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because he was on like my list of maybes. But I was like, I'm going to go in here and pick Adam Cole first because I want to get him and I want to make sure Corey doesn't. And then you just said, oh, he wasn't on my list at all. I'm like, shit. All right, well, at least I got him. So
at least you got him.
You're not. I don't think you're as big of a. You've seen Adam Cole a lot more live than I have, so I think you're less of an Adam Cole fan than I am. Is that correct?
Well, I think Adam Cole's character work and his promo work outdoes him in the ring. Adam Cole is probably, in my opinion, one of the more blander people wrestling wise, but I mean, he's super entertaining regardless. I just see that when I'm approaching this, I'm trying to approach it from if I'm trying to book television and win ratings and appeal to what I think a broader audience would be into, Adam Cole still seems really short to me. Now AJ's not much taller, but with AJ he has a lot more of that ability to do uncanny stuff in the ring. So okay. I'm trying to approach this very like professionally, I guess. Okay. Very, very mindset.
I like it because I'm picking all the guys I want to hang out with.
Well, I mean, if you go back to early 2000s, Raw was the show with all the big names, and SmackDown was the work rate show with all the good matches.
So we'll see how that goes. Let me see. Okay, my second pick for SmackDown is Shinsuke Nakamura.
Oh, that one was on my list.
Yes, I would love to get a drink with that boy.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I know Lori's gonna be very upset with me that I missed him.
I should have put him number one then. I should have suspected you would have gone for Shinsuke.
Dylan got Shinsuke. She's mad at me.
Hey, dude, you got your AJ Styles, so I don't know what you want.
I did.
Yeah.
So my second pick, I'm going to go with Roman Reigns.
Oh, I was thinking about putting on Roman Reigns because I like Roman Reigns. I just think that the way he's been booked has been to his detriment. That's what's made him unappealing. His character is good. Like, he can work. He's good on the mic. It's just the way they've been booking him is like turn him off to everybody. So like he was one of my like maybes. So I can dig that. That's a good pick. Okay, so it's my go again.
Yes.
All right, I want Kevin Owens.
Oh, okay. That's a good one too. That one was on mine as well. So my next pick will be I'm going to go Randy Orton.
Oh, he was not on my list at all. You can have him.
Honestly, I found that with Randy Orton, there are people who really dig him and people who do not like him at all. So that we fit that spectrum.
Pretty much. I used to really like, me and my brother used to just hate Randy Orton, and then we kind of we like
you grew into hating the Miz.
Well, I didn't grow to hate the Miz. Anybody with eyes can hate the Miz. It's right there. But I realized like we begrudgingly had to accept that Randy Orton was a pretty good worker, you know. So the guy's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
And then also his match with Mick Foley, we're like, all right, he gets a pass. You know, it was a Backlash 2004, I think. Mick Foley versus Randy Orton, unbelievable. You want to check that?
Yeah, that was the big hardcore match, right?
Oh,
like Randy did his first thumbtack spot.
Yeah, it's so crazy, you know. So we had to give him credit after that, I'm afraid. But let me see.
You're afraid.
Yeah, you know, I'm like,
so yeah, you're up next.
All right. I'm gonna pick Daniel Bryan.
Boy, I didn't even.
You are
it's gonna sound terrible to say. Not only did I not have Daniel Bryan on my list, I forgot he was even on the roster.
You are a fool. See, whenever I said Kevin Owens, I'm like, shit, dude, I should have said Daniel Bryan because Corey is gonna snap in Daniel Bryan right away. But you went for Randy Orton, so I'm very happy about that. There we go.
My fourth pick is Jeff Hardy.
Oh God. I mean, I don't like the Hardy Boys, so you're grand for that one too, buddy.
You don't like the Hardy Boys? And you're sure you grew up in the late 90s?
Yeah, I did. Now here's the thing. Like if you had to pick between those three teams, the Hardy Boys, Edge Christian, and the Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys are like clearly third. Edge Christian were the most.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
you're gonna put the Dudley Boys. You're gonna put the Dudley Boys above the Hardys.
I like legitimately think, and we can save this for another podcast if you want, but I legitimately think the Dudley Boys are one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
I'm not gonna dispute that, but I don't think they're better than the Hardys.
Oh, 100%. 100% better than the Hardys.
See, this is, I was debating like having this instead of set in modern time, doing like early 2000s, like late 90s, early 2000s, and just be WCW versus WWF. Oh boy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if you want to get into this debate, but like the Dudley Boys know psychology. They know how to work a match. They can do more than flip or be fucking insane clowns or whatever the fuck Matt Hardy's doing these days. They have layers to them. They're a much better tag team than Hardy Boys. Anyway, the point is you can have Jeff Hardy because he was not on my list at all. So
okay, your next pick.
What have we done? We've done. Okay, who do I want to pick now? Well, in that case, what I'm gonna do, I think Actually, yeah. Right now, I'm gonna pick Bray Wyatt.
Okay. Now Wyatt was another one I didn't even have on my list.
Oh, dude, he wears a funny mask.
Yeah, but I mean,
He's
it's just a
hilarious.
character that when I'm thinking of like what I want to build to, I don't see white boy with dreadlocks and a Slipknot mask anywhere in my plans.
Well, that's where you and me differ, my friend. Um, Wait, you have plans. My idea was to just build a stacked roster first and then figure it out later. Like, you know the way I work. I'm very haphazard.
Yeah.
So I figure I'll just like pick something good first, and then by the process of elimination, something good must come out of it at the end.
Sure.
That's the way I'm working. So Bray Wyatt's my pick.
I think you're on a good track so far.
It's not bad.
So the question becomes, do I go in the intended order that I had in mind, or because I have a feeling you're never going to pick this person, just to go ahead and take him?
You can have the Miz. You can take him.
It's not the Miz, although with him being an Ohio boy, you always feel a certain level of kinship.
But don't you feel disgusted that somebody that shit came from Ohio?
No, I've lived in Ohio for 10 years now. I know for a fact that people like that exist here.
Right, but like, isn't he one of the worst wrestlers to ever come out of Ohio?
Man, I don't know. There's a lot of Ohio. There's a lot of Ohio. But you're also talking to someone who doesn't have You're also talking to somebody who doesn't have the highest opinion of Johnny Gargano. So.
Well, yeah, but Johnny Gargano can wrestle circles around the Miz.
True. But I mean, you also have to look at, right? Hulk Hogan didn't have to really wrestle that hard to be a big name in America.
Well, Hulk Hogan's a better wrestler than The Miz.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Okay.
He's also a large racist, so.
Well, he's still a better wrestler than The Miz.
Great wrestler, great racist. Hulk Hogan,
right,
everybody.
Exactly. He's great at everything. What's The Miz good at?
He's great at everything. Well, my fifth pick, and I think this one's going to come out of nowhere because my goal is to not hinder him. My goal is to guide him. I'm picking Jinder Mahal.
Oh, you know what was really funny? I was thinking about picking Jinder as a joke.
No, I'm legitimately picking Jinder. I have ideas.
Can I just say for another interjection? In the last podcast I recorded with John, Wrestling Doesn't Make Sense, available on YouTube. It's not been released yet, but we recorded an episode where we tried to figure out like the top 10 worst wrestlers, and we discussed in length Jinder Mahal. And because of my intervention, Jinder Mahal did not make the top 10 list. I said he's not top 10 bad.
You know what? I'm glad that John's not here to officiate now, because the original idea is that we would have John here to kind of call it down the middle, but due to his bias against Jinder Mahal, I cannot allow that anymore.
The way it went was he was gonna say Jinder Mahal was one of the worst wrestlers of all time, and I'm like, what you have to do is stack him up against some of the actual worst wrestlers of all time. Is Jinder Mahal a better worker than the Great Khali? Yes. Is he a better worker than Mongo McMichael? Yes. Is he a better worker than David Flair? Yes. You know what I mean? Like by process of elimination,
yeah.
he finds himself not on the list.
You can roll out the top 10 relatively quick.
And he was close to it, man. He was so close to it. So you can have him.
I have big plans for the modern day Maharaja. I have big plans. So yeah, your turns. You're now on 6. So if we were looking at this from world title to mid-carder, these people would be considered, quote, mid-carder, just on a draft like formatting. Not that you're actually going to use them as mid-carders.
Exactly. Like, this is technically the mid-carder section, but that's not set in stone. You could, the division could fluctuate. But I would like to pick Cesaro.
Oh, that's a really good pick. He was on mine.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good pick. There's a couple of people on mine that I want to force into a tag team potentially.
Oh shit! Is somebody calling?
But the rule being is that they.
Sorry, somebody was calling me a Facebook like a fucking idiot. Sorry, go ahead.
Someone's using Facebook to call you? My God.
Yeah, they were like, "Do you want to play poker tonight?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to play poker." And then they were like phoning me up. I'm like, "It's not the time, dude. I'm busy."
Yeah, I don't want to play poker. I want to draft for my fantasy wrestling fed.
Right, because I don't lose money this way.
That's true. Well, we didn't introduce this plot point yet, but it is a competition.
That's fine, but you picked Jinder Mahal, so I feel like I'm.
I feel like if we're leaving it up to fan voting, I'm gonna lose real bad, considering you have Cole, Nakamura, Owens, Daniel Bryan, Bray Wyatt, and Cesaro. Yeah, I'm already starting behind the 8 ball if that's the case.
Mm-hmm. Well, this pick could change it, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if it will. My next pick, I'm going to be breaking up a tag team.
Oh,
but
don't break up the tag team. There's one tag team I want for sure, and if you break up that tag team, I'm gonna fly to Ohio in the middle of a quarantine, and I am gonna start kicking ass till I find your house.
Ohio's a pretty big place. You might be busy.
I will burn the entire place. I will burn the entire state to the ground till I find your house, and then I'll just let you live and watch Ohio burn.
Well, it is a good point. It is a good time to mention that after about 3 shows, we agreed that we could have a supplemental draft and even a trade. So if I do that, there's still potential to take him back. But I'm going to be breaking up the street.
You'll just bury him forever, and then I won't be able to use him.
So with my 6th pick, I'm going to be breaking up the Street Profits, and I'm going to be taking Montez Ford.
That's perfect. That is not the team I thought you were going to break up.
Yeah, there was a lot of anticipation there. I was like, he's going to be severely disappointed he put this much effort into objecting.
Right. Well, you're lucky that I won't burn everything to the ground now, because there's a tag team I really want, and which will become evident, I think, as the show goes on. And you didn't pick him, so I'm very happy with that. You can have Montez Ford. I didn't even put the Street Profits in my tag team.
I didn't either, because I wanted to just hit Montez Ford.
Fair enough. You can have him. That's fine with me.
So who's your next pick?
Roddy Strong.
Oh, you were breaking up the Undisputed Era as a group.
Yep.
Well, not necessarily. You can still draft Fish and O'Reilly as a tag team.
Exactly. That was a tag team I was hoping you wouldn't fucking break up. So don't break them up.
No, you could never break up Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly.
They're best friends.
Even when injury broke them up a little bit during the NXT run they were on, they still came back together.
Exactly. They had Roderick Strong in their corner, and that's exactly what's going to happen on my show.
My next pick is Brian Kendrick.
Oh, dang it. He was on my list. It was going to be either him or Roderick Strong that I picked. But I didn't want you to break up the Undisputed Era. Oh, man. That one hurts. that one really hurts.
Kendrick really hurt?
Yeah, I didn't think you'd pick Kendrick at all. I really didn't.
Oh, no. I love Brian Kendrick.
I love Brian Kendrick as a cruiserweight, as a worker, as everything. I was so excited to see him come back for 205 Live. Like, I love that guy. And I was like legit gonna make him like Intercontinental Champion. He deserves it. He's so good. All right, let me see. 1, 2.
So your 8th pick.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Aleister Black.
That's a good pick.
Yeah. It's clear that I really am the fucking indie darling show.
Boy, if that doesn't become more apparent, because my next pick is Mike Kanellis.
Oh, I like that. I do. I was thinking about having Mike Maria on, because I like Maria, and I think that the pairing of them together is a good angle that they didn't capitalize right on in the WWE.
Yeah, it was kind of just bad timing on all accounts.
It's a shame. Like I know how good Maria is. I haven't really seen too much of Mike, and I was really hoping that now that they'd signed, I was gonna see more of Mike, and they didn't. And I'm like, well, that sucked, because Maria's a smart girl, and I'm sure she wouldn't. She knows what she's talking about. Mike must be a pretty good guy if she's
Mike
up to him.
Mike Kanellis. I first was exposed to Mike Kanellis in Ring of Honor, and he had what I think is my favorite Ring of Honor gimmick is that I don't really belong in Ring of Honor, because he looked like a WWE guy and he wrestled like a WWE guy, and he got a lot of good quality fans booing the shit out of him because of that.
Nice.
Plus, he has Maria on his arm.
Mm-hmm.
It's just quintessential, you're booing me because I'm so much better than you kind of stuff.
See, I saw him in TNA, and again, they gave Maria plenty of time on the mic and on the division and stuff. But whenever I saw like every time I tuned in and saw Mike Kanellis on that show, like he was in like a 2-minute fucking match or whatever. I'm like, I don't get to see this guy, that I'd heard a lot about. I'm like, why can't I just see this man wrestle a match? What the fuck? So for years I've been denied a good Mike Kanellis match.
So number 9, who you got?
Now I have a couple, and I'm not sure which one I want to pick. And I don't think you're gonna pick either of these guys, so I reckon I can pick them both. So I'm gonna pick Sheamus.
Sheamus actually was on my list.
Oh, hot damn.
Yeah.
I think Sheamus is a really good worker. I think, not just because we're from Ireland, but I feel like I would rather watch a Sheamus match than a Finn Balor match. And I'm sure that's a very controversial thing.
Well, Sheamus is a brawler, and you don't see too many guys with brawler, styles anymore. A lot of people, they do that really fast-paced junior heavyweight, Japanese junior heavyweight style. So Sheamus, who's a big dude and wrestles like a big brawler, just stands out immediately.
Exactly, and especially given like how the rest of my roster looks. Like, no offense to some of these guys, but like Adam Cole and Danny Bryan, Roddy Strong, they're kind of smaller guys. And you want to see a big guy like Sheamus or Kevin Owens. You need those kind of guys in the mix, Yeah. So I'm trying to be all over with this whole thing.
So I'm in the same position you that I think my last 2 picks are people that you would never pick, but there's also some people that are still on the list from earlier that didn't go drafted that I'm a little surprised at. I'm gonna stick to my guns though, and my next pick will be Kushida. Because you got Nakamura, so I'll take Kushida. Good junior heavyweight, good babyface. Wrestles a hybrid, submission flyer style, and a sweetheart of a man.
He seems like a really cool guy. I was so excited whenever like Alex Shelley came back to do the Time Splitters.
They built up that Alex Shelley coming to NXT for the tag tournament thing real hard for them to be eliminated immediately.
Right.
But I guess I wasn't totally surprised because, they're not going to give a guy not under contract a win over people who are.
Right. Like, I was just excited to see him there. Like, whenever I knew that he was, like, Alex Shelley's here next week, I'm like, well, I'll get to see him at least for 1 week. I didn't expect it to go any longer than that, but I'm like, I will take that week, man. I will take that appearance. I will take it.
Yeah, if you're a big Alex Shelley fan, he is back at it. I mean, he's currently on the Ring of Honor roster again. So
I used to watch him in TNA back when it was called TNA. Oh,
Impact.
The good times, Sometimes they were the good times.
Sometimes. It's like everything, right? The Attitude Era. Sometimes it was as great as they said it was. Sometimes it wasn't.
That's exactly right. Like I went back and watched some of that Attitude Era, and you're like, you know what? Some of this is great, and a lot of it is not. Whose turn is it?
Yours.
My turn.
This is your last of the men. Yep, yours is the last pick of the men.
Have you been doing a thing where you go through your list and then you're like, shit, I forgot about this guy, but then you're kind of running out of space and you're like, I kind of need to prioritize this guy or whatever. So now I have one space left.
I totally forgot about Daniel Bryan existing, apparently.
Well, I halfway through this draft, I thought of a guy, and I'm like, I want him on my team. But now I've got one space left, and I want to pick that guy, but I also had somebody else written down that I think would also do really well. So I'm conflicted, but I think I can make it work. So what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna pick Angel Garza.
Oh, that is a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
I do like Angel Garza.
I like him too. I think he's got a really good look. I think he appeals to a demographic that, let's be honest, a lot of the other white American males on my on my roster don't really appeal to. Him and Shinsuke are going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting, I feel.
Well, and on the diversity front, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But Lori just pointed out to me that we've both been mispronouncing his name. It is Angel Garza, not Angel Garza.
Wow.
That's a big whoops on my part, considering I was critiquing everyone for not pronouncing La Idra correctly.
But that's true. It's the same with Angelico as well, because I call him Angelico, and you're like, it's not Angelico.
It's Angelico.
Yes, but to me, it's whenever he's on my roster. Exactly. When you're on my roster, you're Angel Garza, all right? That's the end of it.
On Dylan's SmackDown brand, his name has been changed to Angel Garza. Understood. His
You like-
gimmick is born again Christian.
What about if I changed it to Anal Garza? Is that easier to remember?
Yeah, I think Anal Garza would be also pretty adequate as well. But I think
Is that-
you're gonna be losing that PG-13 rating.
Is that more or less offensive to your girlfriend?
Let me ask. That's A. It's my wife. Thank you.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And B, he wants to know if Angel Garza or Anal Garza is worse. Which one's worse?
Clearly, we know which one is worse.
All right, she said clearly we know which one's worse.
Anal
Still, we
Garza
gotta throw it out
is
to
that.
the. All right. Well, my last pick is someone who just debuted in NXT very recently. It's not Killer Cross. It's actually Timothy Thatcher, who's currently teaming with Matt Riddle.
Yes.
With Thatcher, he has I've seen a lot of his stuff on the independents and in Europe. Thatcher he reminds me a lot of Chris Benoit, and I would love to kind of have that style of character of just like the no nonsense, like roughneck grappler, and hopefully just get that Chris Benoit taste out of my mouth.
I like it. Can I just say, like, my picks have been, I've got pretty much everybody that I wanted to. Like the ones I wrote down,
yeah.
I'm happy with that. I'm very, very happy with the roster because I got pretty much everyone I wanted. So that's
I was aiming with
sweet.
I was aiming for a lot of diversity with my roster on like size and popularity and stuff, and I think I did it. My undercard's really like made to the kind of stuff I find interesting though, because I mean, I broke up the fucking Street Profits for God's sake.
Well, nobody cares about the Street Profits. I don't know. That's not true.
I mean, they are the current champs, but oh well. All right, so
But
are
are
you
they-
ready to move to the women's division?
Sure.
Actually, let's do a quick rundown.
Okay.
Dylan, you drafted SmackDown is Adam Cole, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, Bray Wyatt, Cesaro, Roderick Strong, Aleister Black, Sheamus, and Angel Garza, or Angel Garza, or Anal Garza.
Thank you for pronouncing it correctly the third time.
Raw is AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy, Jinder Mahal, Montez Ford, Brian Kendrick, Mike Kanellis, Kushida, and Timothy Thatcher.
Mm-hmm. I think that looks pretty good.
So
on both
if
sides.
I think it does too. I kind of
Yeah.
like I said, I kind of like the balance that I have. So let's go ahead and start with the women's division. You have first pick.
Asuka,
No debating that. I like how quickly you answered that.
100%
Well,
Asuka.
so if
She was
I
gonna
mean,
be.
if
By
you're
the
gonna
way,
take Asuka,
Asuka was gonna be my first pick. Like, if we were just gonna do an overall thing, I'm gonna be like, my first pick, regardless of whatever, is gonna be Asuka. I want her on my show. I want Asuka on my show.
I thought like it would make more sense if we structured it by division, but I'm glad that you managed to get her.
Me too.
Yeah. So my first pick is Charlotte. So you'll take Asuka,
Oh.
and I'll take Charlotte.
That is, Charlotte was on my list. Personally, I think that Asuka is better than Charlotte, but they're both incredible, and so having either
Yeah.
of them is a good idea. So well played on that. Okay, so my go.
What's your second pick?
My second pick is Shayna Baszler.
Oh wow, I didn't even factor Baszler in. I'm a fan, but I did think about Baszler. So
I
mean,
thought
that's-
for sure because we've talked about Shayna Baszler before, and I'm sure Corey's gonna pick Baszler, but I have to pick Asuka first because I really want Asuka.
Yeah, no, Asuka was very top of the list on mine too, so it was very smart of you to pick first on that one.
She's the best.
All right, my second pick. We're gonna break them up, but I'm gonna go with Kairi Sane.
Now here's the thing. I was about to pick Kairi Sane, but then I wasn't sure if you, because like I said, I was sure you had Shayna Baszler on there somewhere. So I'm like, I gotta pick Baszler to get her in there, you know. But Kairi Sane she was the second person I'd written down. So that's okay. I'll take that. That's fine. I'm gonna pick Alexa Bliss.
That's a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on my next pick, I'm going to take Naomi.
Okay. I would like to make my next pick. I would like to pick Ember Moon.
Wow, I Ember Moon is someone I keep forgetting exists. They don't. Before she even went out injury, they weren't doing anything with her.
True. But I'm gonna do something with her.
And so my next pick, I'm going to take Ruby Riot.
Okie doke. That's okay. That's a good call, I think. So I think
Okay,
for my
this is your last. Yeah, this is your last women's roster pick.
my last pick is gonna be Carmella.
Oh, that's a really good pick.
Mm-hmm. I think she's really good. I think she's improved a lot. Like her and Alexa Bliss both like improved so much since they started. You know, you can see like a marked improvement, and I like them both. I think they're both really good. They're both great on the mic, and they can both work a really good match as well. So I'm very happy with having both of them on the show.
Now, my problem is now that there are two people that I'm trying to pick from, and they both bring something very different to the table, and I just don't know which one would fit better.
Well,
They just offer two entirely different things.
See, that's the trick. You gotta like have a balance. Same with the men. You gotta have a balanced roster. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's why I picked odd numbers, so that there would be an off balance at some point. I want to go with, just for the difference of just what I can do with this style of character and this type of wrestler, I'm going to go with Nia Jax.
Oh, good lord. You can have her.
I just feel like you can tell a lot more different stories with someone who physically is just of a different build than the rest of the women's division. Same
you
with
like?
Baszler.
Well, would you like to put half of your women's division out of commission? Then go with Nia Jax.
You know, we should probably have like some sort of an EWR kind of dynamic in here, where just something randomly will happen and like someone's not available anymore for whatever reason. Because that'd be really funny. Just like Shayna Baszler got caught with cocaine. She's been suspended from the roster for 6 months.
Nia Jax killed 6 other people on the roster. She probably should be suspended.
Do you want to know what my pick, the other person I was debating?
Go for it.
Billy Kay.
Oh, nice.
Because-
Yeah, I get. Yes. Well, I was thinking about picking the Iconics and just picking them as a tag team. Even though they don't go in the men's tag team division, I wanted them as a tag team just to have both of them on the show. But like, I agree. I think Billy Kay.
Don't try to cheat.
Wow. I think Billy Kay is. I love them both. I think they're both great at what they do. But I think Billy Kay, like on her own, could be a great heat magnet. So I understand where you're coming from on that respect.
Yeah, just personality wise, she would clash so easily with every single one of these characters, and I think that's where you build your story, is conflict.
I mean, that's exactly right. I'm thinking now that I'm thinking about it like that, I'm like, man, that is a good pick. Billy Kay is a good pick.
So to kind of summarize our women's division, SmackDown is Asuka, Shayna Baszler, Alexa Bliss, Ember Moon, and Carmella. Mm-hmm. Raw is Charlotte, Kairi Sane, Naomi, Ruby Riott, and Nia Jax.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So are you ready for tag teams?
Yes.
Okay. So once again, you get to go first. Tag teams are 1 pick, even if it's 2 guys. If it's a 3-person trio like the New Day or Lucha House Party, you have to specify which of the 2 members of the actual tag team and who is the manager.
Okay. You want me to go first?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly.
All right. So I'm going to put Red Dragon for short on my notes.
Made it pretty clear earlier that was exactly
it seemed pretty obvious that's what you were going for. So congratulations, you got the Undisputed Era entirely on SmackDown.
I am so happy about that, because I really thought at some point you were gonna come in and like finagle somebody. The thing is, I don't know, like I thought we were gonna like do it in divisions, and I figured that once you saw I went for Adam Cole first off the bat, you were gonna like, just to spite me, you were gonna try and like, I'm gonna take one of the other ones.
No. Here's the thing. I'm a huge Bobby Fish fan as a solo person anyway. I also absolutely love his team with Kyle O'Reilly. But I won't lie either. They were the top tag team on my list. But I'm not going to intentionally try to break your draft.
I legit thought you were just going to take one of them just to annoy me. Like, once you figured out what the plan was, at some point you were just going to take one of them. I'm like, man. But all right. I mean, now that I've got them all, I'm fucking ecstatic. I'm like, fuck the rest of the show. You know, what else do we need to do other than have the Undisputed Era come out and then have Asuka have a 50-minute match? That's my show. I don't need anything else.
So, my first tag team, I'm going to go with Anderson and Gallows.
Oh, they were on my list.
Yeah, here's the thing about tag team wrestling in the WWE. Not a priority. Not a lot of tag teams to choose from.
Well, no, not that. I had them on my list because I thought they, in particular, were like a super underrated team because both of them are great on the mic. Gallows is criminally underrated when it comes to like mic time. Give that fucker a mic all the time.
Oh, and hilarious.
God, he's hilarious so good. Like, and naturally funny. Like, he's so good. Like, he just has you like listening to him. I mean, Anderson's no slouch either. And then like that's why earlier I wanted AJ Styles as well, because I'm like, I can make a really good storyline out of like Undisputed Era versus the Club. Like, I can do that the way that the WWE don't want to do. I'll fucking do it. Then you got ahead of me. Got there.
Well, your priority was Undisputed Era, apparently, because your first pick was Adam Cole, and you picked very first. So your priority was Undisputed Era, then the Bullet Club.
It's true. I mean, what? Right? Because you got to get one in place and then the other one.
I don't blame you.
I'm not a fool. Yeah. I know how this works. And also let it be noted that I wanted my overall number one pick to be Asuka. Just want that to be clear. Yeah. Like it would have been Asuka. Would have been Asuka over Adam Cole.
So I do want to say this, that you got all three of your number one picks that you wanted. You got Asuka for the women's division, Fish and O'Reilly for the tag division, and Adam Cole for your men's pick. So congratulations on that.
Well, I got the first pick because I was the first person to pick. So
I'm just saying, but you managed to get all of them. I could have taken, like you said, I could have broken up Fish and O'Reilly easily.
I really thought you would. But I'm glad you did. So thank you.
Then you got relieved and somewhat maybe disappointed that I took Montez Ford.
Oh, you have no idea. Because like there were so many tag teams you could have split somebody up. Like you could have had Kobe Kingston or something like that. I'm like, fucking take Montez Ford. There you go. I don't fucking care. No skin off my nose.
All right, your pick.
No, this second one is tricky. A second one, I want to go with the Revival.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Because the Revival are like they're an incredible tag team, and if you have incredible tag teams in the division as well, you're gonna get money. Like if you have the Revival and then shitty tag teams, you're still gonna get money because the Revival are that good. But if you can put quality teams up against the Revival, it's like you're printing money. Like it's perfect, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I actually just listened to the Talk is Jericho with the Revival today, and we actually were discussing that because the original cutoff point for drafting the roster was the day before everybody got cut, and then I remember the Revival actually left the WB before that. So we had that kind of last minute discussion of, it should just be whoever was on the roster January 1st, 2020.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is fair. Like the beginning of the year, that's totally like, yeah. Okay, is it your go?
Yes. My next team will be. I'm going to take Breezango.
Ooh, that is a good team. I'll be honest with you. They weren't on my list, but that is a good. Yeah, I'll give you that. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's two guys. Underrated, both been there a good long time. Very funny, very charismatic.
Okay, I'm trying to like add things up. Sorry if I pause for a little bit now because this is the last.
No, take your time.
This is the last draft.
I mean,
section,
we're getting to the fire.
I'm like counting up like the teams I have left plus the teams I have written down. So I'm like, who do I want to prioritize? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So let me see. 1, 2.
Yeah, and as a reminder, you can put two people together if they ever teamed before. It does not have to be an active tag team at that time.
Well, I'm not doing that. These are
Oh, okay.
I'm kind of doing that with one of them, but I
Okay.
man, ugh. I have 4 teams but 3 spaces. You know what I mean? Like I need to
Oh,
make
yeah.
a decision. And
Well, that's where I was with Nia Jax and Billy Kay.
dude, if I were you, I would have picked Billy Kay over Nia Jax. And I will give you an opportunity right now to switch that out if you want.
The problem is just that I'm trying to think of like from a spectacle standpoint. Nia Jax is physically impressive over Billy Kay. Billy Kay is a tall, skinny Australian woman, whereas Nia Jax has a different build than the other people. And yes, she looks vicious in the ring because she actually is apparently a little vicious. So
I love you.
I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna pick with Nia. If it doesn't work out, I can trade her or I can replace her in the supplemental draft later.
That's totally fair, but like for me, like the hook about wrestling is the guy that can make you want to watch the match, right? If the match sucks, then the match sucks. But if that guy can talk his way into making you want to watch that match, then you're gonna want to watch that match. Billy Kay can do that way better than Nia Jax can.
I'm thinking from a baby face perspective, because you watch because you want to see the hero, victorious. You want to see the hero overcome the odds. Nia Jax is never going to be the hero in these storylines. It worked for that one WrestleMania they did, but it's because Alexa Bliss is so good at being mean.
She's so good.
I think like having like a Kairi Sane versus Nia Jax or a Naomi versus Nia Jax, I feel like that would be a better story to tell, because then you have the David versus Goliath storyline.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's what my thinking is. But it's your third pick.
Okay, I'm gonna pick the New Day.
Okay.
But I really thought I could skip by picking all 3 of them, and you made it clear earlier that I had to pick 2 of them.
Yeah, somebody has to be the manager. There's no freebird rules here.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, if one of them has to be the manager, like if I'm only allowed 2 of them to wrestle,
yeah.
I would pick Kobe Kingston and Big E to be the wrestlers, and Xavier is the manager. Because like while I love all 3 of them, I think that Kofi and Big E are great in the ring. Not that Xavier isn't, but boy, that guy could fucking talk his way out of anything. I think Xavier Woods, if he had to be a manager, would be the best out of the 3 of them to be in the manager.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a good pick. So I'm going to go the same route that you did. I'm going to pick the other 3-man team in the WB. I'm going to go with the Lucha House Party. And with the Lucha House Party, I'm going to specify that... Oh, goodness. I'm going to put Lince Dorado as the manager, I think.
Okay.
Because of the 3 of them, his English is the best.
Well, that's always a plus.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kalisto's isn't that bad, but I mean, Kalisto's mic work doesn't exactly inspire confidence with him having to go do the lucha thing. God damn it. So, your 4th pick on tag teams. Still plenty of names on the board. Now, it's important that we do specify that, obviously, with the Undisputed Era being picked in their entirety, it does not matter if it's a 205, a UK, a NXT, Raw, or SmackDown tag team. They just have to be a tag team under WWE contract.
Yes. Well, in that case, and this pick that I'm going to do, I'll pick it first and I'll explain it, is Bobby Roode and Chad Gable.
Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. They were a tag team.
Yep. And
they were a tag team. Very forgettable tag team, but a tag team.
They won the tag belts.
That didn't mean shit, and you know it.
They won the tag belts just like any other credible tag team has done, such as Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, or Alex and Ganderson. Credible tag teams have won the tag team championships. So earlier, whenever it was coming down to picking mid-carders, I blanked on Bobby Roode until we were drafting it, and I'm like, shit, dude, why didn't I pick Bobby Roode? So I really quickly wrote down Bobby Roode and Chad Gable in order to get Bobby Roode on my roster. So sorry, Chad Gable, you were slumbered with the
You're
fact
on
that
for
I
the
wanted
ride.
I wanted Bobby Roode.
You're
I had to take you back.
You're along for the ride, Chad.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the fun thing about that. I was actually one of my picks I was going to probably save for last because I didn't think you would do it. I was going to draft Team Canada of Eric Young and Bobby Roode because they were former NWA Tag Team Champions back in TNA. So
yes.
you got Bobby Roode out from underneath me.
That's a good one. I expected you to have picked Eric Young already. I should have seen something like that coming. I should have seen like that or like a sanity angle coming. You know, I should have seen it because I know you're a big Eric Young fan.
Oh, yeah. If that's the case, I want to take Mustache Mountain.
Oh, you son of a bitch. They were on my list.
That's okay. My last tag team you will not see coming.
Well, you know what's funny is that I had enough tag teams written down so that, like, you know, even with my Bobby Roode and Chad Gable kind of interruption, I still had like a couple of tag teams left over if you picked one of mine. And I really legit thought that you would not pick either my next pick or Mustache Mountain, and then you surprised me, Mustache Mountain. I'm very burpy today, you know?
No, I did the same thing with I when I came to making my list, I picked double of what we were actually drafting for, just so that I would have like second, third, and fourth options.
Nice. See, I didn't do that. I just picked like 2 extra and figured that's probably enough. That's probably fine, you know?
Yeah.
So
who is your final tag team pick?
My final tag team pick is Luke Harper and Eric Rowan.
Yeah, I would not have seen that coming because it feels like Luke Harper hasn't been around in forever.
Well, he's been
but
busy
he was
with other
at the beginning of the year.
He's been others.
Yeah,
Harper
Rowan.
Been other things, but they've been tag teams in the past. Former tag team champions, former NXT champions. They got pedigree. They're an
former
cult
team. Members.
They look really good. Now I've got Bray Wyatt on my team as well. There's possibilities there if I want to go down that route. Everything's working out. I'm very happy with that.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
My last pick, going to be completely underwhelming, I'm sure, but I feel like this is a team that's kind of missing, kind of a good middle ground. I am going to take Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan.
That's a good call. That
I feel like they have a potential to be a very flexible team.
I really like Oney Lorcan.
Yeah. I like Danny Burch.
Danny Burch is fine. Oney Lorcan is he's like a killer. Like he'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
Danny Burch has done a really good, like you can see the progression he's made since he's come in, and you know, working with other guys like Oney Lorcan and other people like that. It's, you know, it's paid off because he looks like a better wrestler now than he did when he came in. So I would have said that was a bit of a left field pick, but still like a solid choice, you know?
Yeah. So to kind of recap it, SmackDown's tag division is Fish and O'Reilly. I keep calling him Red Dragon because I was a big Ring of Honor fan.
If you want to call him Red, like, you know, we know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So Fish and O'Reilly, The Revival, The New Day, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, and Luke Harper and Eric Rowan.
Yep.
Raw is Anderson and Gallows, Breezango, The Lucha House Party, Mustache Mountain, and Burch and Lorcan.
Yeah.
So to kind of do just do one big recap, the SmackDown roster is Adam Cole, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, Bray Wyatt, Cesaro, Roderick Strong, Aleister Black, Sheamus, Angel Garza, Asuka. Sorry, Angel Garza.
Thank you.
Asuka, Shayna Baszler, Alexa Bliss, Ember Moon, Carmella, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and Big E, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan.
Yes.
Raw is AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy, Jinder Mahal, Montez Ford, Brian Kendrick, Mike Kanellis, Kushida, Timothy Thatcher, Charlotte Flair, Kairi Sane, Naomi, Ruby Riott, Nia Jax, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Tyler Breeze, Fandango, Kalisto, Gran Metalik, and Lindsay Dorado, Trent Seven and Tyler Bate, Danny Burch, and Oni Lorcan.
Yeah. So like if I was to just look at that, through unbiased eyes, I mean I say that, but I am biased because I was part of the draft.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I gotta say, your women's division looks better than the rest of your divisions, in my opinion. Because I've already made clear my distaste for Jinder Mahal and Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton, etc., etc. I gotta say that out of all of them, I'm like, I would be, if I was a casual viewer right now watching that show, I would tune in for the women's division because that seems to appeal the most to me because of all the people you have picked. So
I would say though, but I mean, I would say that if I was kind of like, if I'm a casual fan, and a casual fan is not someone who's into work rate, they just want to see people get fucked up and thrown around. My men's division is a lot bigger than your men's division, like size wise. I feel like I've gotten a pretty good base. The only thing I'm still a little leery of is my tag division. I'm not totally sure how those pieces fit together, but I think my women's division has a set hierarchy. In my men's division, I have a heavyweight division that's full of heavyweights, which are, guys taller than 6 foot. And I also have an undercard. I have an undercard that is guys who can work and are very fast paced, as well as a guy on there that juxtaposes that and wrestles a more WWE style in the mix of that. So I think I'm pretty well balanced. You definitely have star power over me though, in the sense of like, would a hardcore professional wrestling fan want to watch my show over yours? Probably not.
Well, that's the trick though. Like and that's the problem that the WWE have right now, is that do they want to watch the traditional wrestlers wrestling? Like we all know how good of a wrestler Adam Cole is, or Roderick Strong, or Cesaro. Fucking Cesaro is like the wrestler's wrestler. Like he's so good. But like, does that translate to casual fans? Do people who don't really watch wrestling want to watch Cesaro? Again, like if you look from a point of view of like pure strength and like in-ring action, Cesaro can do enough fun spots to get people involved. He doesn't have to speak a word of English, even though he can speak it fluently. He doesn't have to, because he does enough work in the ring to be able to win people over. And I tried to look at it from a point of like, who has entertained me, and therefore who would like win other people over? You know what I mean? Like there are guys who like wrestling and they like it because it doesn't look like the Young Bucks. And there are people who like wrestling because it looks like the Young Bucks. And I would rather it didn't look like the Young Bucks. So I tried to kind of pick some people who made it look a little bit like who could talk their way into a fight, but it could also fight their way out, if that makes sense. And that, again, that doesn't, that might not apply to everybody, but I feel like a lot of the guys on my roster can either talk their way into a fight, or fight their way out of a fight, or both. And like, if I can tick those boxes, then I'm grand,
Yeah, no, I get it. Like I said, with mine, I was trying to approach it from an angle of what are the toys in the toy box that I can do the most with. And I feel like by having people who play defined roles, I feel like I'm setting myself up to be successful. And the reason I look at it the same way, like when you build a stable, like the Four Horsemen is considered one of the best stables of all time because everybody served a function and they served their own individual function that sure, someone else could fill it, but not someone else in the team already. You had your world title contender, your mid card contender, and your tag team. So, Flair, Tully, the Andersons.
Yes.
So that's kind of how I was wanting to approach building this draft, was what are my pieces that I can put here while having separate pieces I could put elsewhere. So I didn't have like, for example, like if I'm booking a pay-per-view and I have my main event spot of, we have Roman Reigns versus, AJ Styles, is it going to matter that Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy, and Jinder Mahal aren't on the card? Not so much. But if you were to have a show and Daniel Bryan or Bray Wyatt didn't make the card, I feel like that's going to be an absence people are going to notice.
That is true. That's fair. But then again, like I would kind of that is in the favor of me because then you're like, well, why wouldn't I put these guys on my show? These are the guys I want to focus on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for example,
Yeah.
if Bray Wyatt or Daniel Bryan or Adam Cole weren't on my show, that would be an outrage. People would be unhappy about it. But if Aleister Black or Sheamus or Angel Garza or Anil Garza, if you're interested, weren't on the show, nobody would mind that much. I still have a good. I can work it so that people will have enough. And it's funny that you would say that Four Horsemen gimmick because I lucked out in getting my own like modern day Four Horsemen. You got Adam Cole.
You got your own Four Horsemen.
Exactly. Yeah. Adam Cole, heavyweight champion. Roderick Strong, mid card, easy, and then tag team championships, 100%. It's gonna be fucking Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly. Like it's all right there. The trick is like now I feel like the WWE for real in that all the talent is there. All I have to do is make it good, but at the same time, it's very, very tempting and easy for me to not bother and just go, fuck it, just whatever. It's all right
this
there.
Is like... Well, this is why I really wanted to do this because I wanted to see what our different approaches would be and like how we're going to build it. So I think we both accomplished that in our own plans because I feel like there wasn't too many instances where it was like, I can't believe you got him before I could. Yeah. There was actually a lot of instances where I totally forgot somebody was on the fucking roster apparently. I think how big their roster is, and that's a problem.
I think Brian Kendrick was the only one where people were like, shit, dude. Like I'm really annoyed at you getting Brian Kendrick. I really wanted Brian Kendrick.
Well, I mean, like you said, and I was going to debate this. Now that the draft's over, do you want to propose any sort of trades? Like, is there someone you would offer me in favor of getting Brian Kendrick?
I would trade you Anil Garza for Brian Kendrick.
You know what? I will take that trade. You can have Brian Kendrick. I'll take Garza.
But you have to call him Anil Garza.
I can't commit to that.
All right. Well, you can. All right.
Okay. So you'll take Kendrick and I'll take Garza.
That's awesome. I didn't think I'd get him. Oh man.
By all means.
I was actually I like
Garza.
I like them both. I think like I saw like Angel Garza in like a cruiserweight championship match, and I'm like, because he was fighting other cruiserweights, I'm like, he looks like a champion. Like he carries himself like a champion. He wrestles like a champion. Like he gets the in-betweens, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really important thing.
Well, he's someone who grew up in wrestling and in Lucha Libre. His father was Hector Garza, who was in WCW's cruiserweight division and was a staple of the early X division in TNA. So, I mean, he has some prestige there and wrestled a lot in AAA before, moving out. And I think he even spent some time in Impact, during those dark days. So he's someone who knows what he's doing.
Hell yeah. I mean, I really liked him, but I figured that, like, there's more experience with Daniel Bryan, and he's had, like, I could work with him, I could work with both those guys, but I just like personal preference. I would rather have had Brian Kendrick,
Yeah. Well, if anything, I feel like the way I was going to approach with them, I think it makes more sense to have a Garza in his place anyway. Were there any other trades that you were wanting to propose?
No, dude. I think the rest of my show actually looks pretty good. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm okay.
Okay.
Would you want any?
No, I think I'm okay.
Trade? You're okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I do want to, as a reminder, after we get done recording this, Dylan and I are going to do our wild card picks.
Yes.
We will reveal who the wild cards are on the next show, which will probably be like a month from now, where we will kind of go over what a month worth of storytelling is like for us, and then go over what our pay-per-view card is.
Yes.
And reveal that wild card somewhere in there. In addition to that, Dylan, was there anybody that didn't go drafted that surprised you?
I mean, not really. I drafted all the guys I wanted to, and you drafted a lot of the people that I figured would get drafted. And a couple of people that I didn't think would get drafted, such as Jinder Mahal, Montez Ford. singly, but like for the most part, I'm like a lot of this makes sense, you know. I mean,
Mhm.
there could have been a couple of guys in like the mid card, like Rusev, for example, or Seth Rollins.
I'm gonna throw. Yeah, I was about to say Seth Rollins stands out for me as someone that we didn't pick.
But like I get like for two reasons. Personally, for me, it was for two reasons. Number one, I figured that you would pick Seth Rollins, and I don't know why, but I figured like you would just want that over guy on your show. I mean, you picked Roman Reigns, so you know what I mean. But
I think Roman has more turnaround though than Seth does. I mean, we've already seen Seth doesn't do well as a face because he's so naturally unlikable.
Right, but there's something about it. For me, like Seth Rollins and Finn Balor have something in common, and it's one of those things you can't really explain. But I'm like, I like them both, but I don't love them. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're both great workers. They can both talk. They're both good at what they do. But if I had to choose between if I had to choose between a Brian Kendrick match or a Seth Rollins match, I probably would pick Brian Kendrick because he's just my kind of guy more. And there's just something about Seth Rollins that I would like. Also, Finn Balor, I guess you could say, is one of those guys that didn't get picked, but might be a surprise. But I'm like, whatever. There's just like they're good, but they wouldn't be top of the list for me. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I'll throw out some names that these are people that have been around that didn't get drafted, and people who I'm kind of surprised didn't get drafted. Pete Dunne didn't make my list at all.
Right. Well, like I had Mustache Mountain, so I was thinking about doing like a Mustache Mountain Pete Dunne kind of thing, but the other picks I wanted them more than Pete Dunne. So
yeah. Sami Zayn didn't get drafted. Braun Strowman didn't get drafted. Baron Corbin didn't get drafted.
For good reason, yeah.
The Authors of Pain didn't get drafted. Velveteen Dream didn't get drafted.
He was
Gargano nor Ciampa got drafted. So like you said, there's some names on there that I was kind of surprised to see didn't get picked up. But I think that your roster, there's a good commonality between everybody there that it seems like a good unit.
Yeah.
Like I think the one thing about your tag division that stands out to me is that Rude and Gable team. That's like the one thing on your entire card or your entire roster that just seems really out of place is Rude and Gable. And I think it's because they did kind of come out of nowhere because you wanted to get Bobby Roode.
I really wanted Bobby Roode. I am such a Bobby Roode mark. I fucking love that guy.
Same here.
He's so good. He's so good. And that's the benefit of him being in the tag team is that Chad Gable doesn't have to even say a thing. Bobby Roode does all the talking. Then they both go out, fucking kill it in the ring. Problem solved. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we have done our draft.
Yes.
We both seem pretty happy with what we have.
Very happy.
So in about a month's time, we will come together and we will kind of give a play-by-play of what happened over a month of television. You don't have to go match by match. I've listened to what the major wrestling figure podcasts have done with it, and the first episode was really long because one of the guys insisted on going match by match for 4 TV shows and then doing his pay-per-view card. Okay. So mainly just hit on like the storylines going into it and then do a match by match of your pay-per-view. I think that would be, fine.
Cool, because that was one of the things I was going to ask is like, do we have to break down Raw and SmackDown like perfectly with every match and every segment, or can we just kind of give a recap and then go straight to the pay-per-view and the build-up that leads to each of those matches? Because that's a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that's and I think it's more interesting. Like, I don't want to hear that, you put, Kendrick in a squash match against, Aleister Black or something.
Wait,
if it doesn't build anything.
Who's winning that squash match?
Brian Kendrick is, obviously.
Of course.
Their jacket.
He has a sweet ass jacket. That's part of the deal. Hell yeah.
He does. It's the man with the plan.
Jacket. I love that music. Everything about Kendrick I fucking love. Except Ezekiel Jackson. Screw that.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
Yeah, but the rest of it fucking sweet.
Do you remember he was the world champion for 3 minutes?
in a Scrabble match where it didn't count, and also he's not a heavyweight. So there's all
Yeah.
sorts.
There's a couple of factors in there.
But like that showed how fucking over he was, and why did they drop it? That's a whole other fucking thing. Don't even get me started.
I thought it was because of pot.
I mean, that could be it too. Easily could be it.
That's what it was. I think they were like, hey Kendrick, you need to stop smoking pot all the time, and he's like, or what? And they killed his push.
Well, fair enough.
But yeah, no, I think, like I said, I think it's pretty successful. We're gonna stop recording, and we're going to reveal who our wild card picks are.
Mm-hmm.
And aside from that, we will see you guys again in about a month. Later.
Hell yeah. Take it easy, guys.